Do you feel stuck in your life? Are you living in a void that just doesn't seem to end? Today, we will be discussing fate and how you can change your very own fate. My name is Rome, and let's get this session started. When you discover that you are living in a world that you did not create and that does not correspond with your ideals, there is a tendency to break loose from external conditions at the earliest possible moment. But this tendency must be checked. Nothing is gained through an attempt to change from one world of effect to another world of effect without first changing the cause. The majority believe that when things are wrong in the outer world, the only remedy is to change external conditions. But the fact is that external conditions are simply effects from internal causes. And so long as those internal causes remain the same, no attempt to change external conditions will prove of permanent value. So long as there are adverse causes in your inner life, there will be adverse effects in your outer life. No matter how many times you may change from one condition to another or from one place to another, when you begin to seek emancipation from the false world in which you are living now. In other words, when you begin to take positive measures to change your own fate, the first thing to do is to resolve not to make any forceful effort to change external conditions without first changing the inner cause of those conditions. Let outer things be as they are for the time being and continue to remain where you are until you can open a door to better things. But while you are waiting for this door to open, do not be idle in any manner whatever. Although you are letting things be as they are in the external sense, and although you are not forcing yourself into different places or circumstances, still your purpose must be to entirely remake yourself. You came into this false state of life because you were misled by your own judgment. And if you should break loose, this same judgment will mislead you again. You will thus pass from one world that is not your own into some other world that is not your own. And there will be no improvement in the change. You have not improved yourself in any manner whatever. Your judgment will be just as inferior and unreliable as it was before. And no attempt to follow this judgment into different conditions will help matters in the least. Your object is not to set yourself free from the false world in which you are living now and then enter some other world that is not your own. You are not ready to move, neither physically or mentally, until you have created a world of your own just as you would have it in your present state of development. Therefore, all thought of change will but divert your attention from the real purpose in view. So long as you are constantly thinking about external changes, your mind cannot concentrate upon internal changes. So long as you are trying to change external conditions, you cannot change yourself. And as you, yourself, are the cause of the new world which you are trying to create, you must recreate yourself before you can create the external world as desired. To change your fate, begin with yourself. The environments in which you live are beneath your ideal. Nothing can be gained by leaving those environments until the way is open naturally to better things. If you simply get up and leave, you will gravitate into something elsewhere that will be just as uncongenial as those conditions you left behind. First, find the reason why you are living in your present adverse environments. Then proceed to remove that cause. There may be many reasons, but in most cases, the principal reason is a lack of ability or the lack of power to apply the ability you possess. In such a case, you must remove inability by becoming more proficient. And as soon as you are competent to render better service, you will readily find a better place. This means larger remuneration, and you will thus be able to secure more desirable surroundings. The many, however, will think that to promote sufficient improvement, so as to command greater recompense, and do so in a short time, is practically impossible under the average conditions. But all difficulties that may be met in this connection may be readily removed through the principles of modern metaphysics. Continuous improvement in everything pertaining to the life, the power, the capacity, or the mentality of the individual can be readily promoted by anyone and decided results secured in a very short time. Therefore, no person need remain in adverse or limited conditions. He can, through the awakening and the expression of the best that is in himself, become competent to take advantage of greater opportunities and thus change his fate, his future, and his destiny. If you wish to improve your physical environments, remain content where you are while you develop the power to earn and create better environments. Contentment with things as they are and harmony with everything about you are indispensable essentials if you wish to increase your ability, your capacity, and your worth. To continue to kick against the pricks is to remain where pricks are abundant. But when we cease this mode of action and begin to polish off all the rough corners of our nature and improve ourselves in every manner possible, things will take a turn. We will leave the world of pricks and enter a smoother path. The polished man is admitted to the polished world where there are no rough places and where adverse conditions are few, if existing at all. When circumstances are against you, do not contend with circumstances. So long as we contend with things, things will contend with us. Do not resist present conditions. You prolong their existence by so doing. Whatever comes, meet all things in the attitude of perfect harmony, and you will find that all things, even the most adverse, can be readily handled and turned to good account. We all know the marvelous power of the man who can harmonize contending factions, be they in his own life or in his circumstances. He not only gains good from everything that he meets, but he becomes a most highly respected personage, and is sought wherever opportunities are great and where great things are to be accomplished. Learn to harmonize the contending factions in your own life and experience, and you will find yourself entering new worlds where circumstances are more congenial and opportunities far greater. You will thus meet more desirable events, more desirable people, and superior advantages of every description will appear in your pathway. Your present friends are not to your liking. Admire them nevertheless for every good quality that they may possess. Emphasize their good qualities and ignore everything in their nature that seems inferior. This will help you to develop superior qualities in yourself. And this is extremely important, because as you develop superiority, you prepare yourself for places higher up in the scale. Make yourself over, so to speak, in your own friendship. Increase your personal worth. Polish your own character. Refine your mind and make real more and more of the ideal. Double and treble your love and your kindness, and constantly increase your admiration for everything that has real quality and high worth. Continue thus until you have results. Whether those results begin to come at once or not, they will positively come ere long. And the things that you develop in yourself, you will meet in your external world. Change yourself for the better in every shape and manner, and you change your fate for the better. But the change that you produce in yourself must not simply be negative in its action. It is the positive character, the positive mind, the positive personality that meets in the external world what has been developed in the internal world. The fact that a change in yourself can produce a similar change in your fate, your environments, your circumstances, in brief, everything in your outer world, may not seem clear at first. But it is easily demonstrated to be the truth when we analyze the relationship that exists between man and the world in which he lives. Everything that exists in your outer world has a correspondent in your inner world. This inner correspondent is the cause that has either created or attracted its external counterpart, and the process is easily understood. To state it briefly, environment corresponds with ability. Circumstances are the aggregation of events brought about by your own actions and associations and friends, which follow the law of like attracting like. That environment is the direct effect of ability may not seem true when we observe that there are many people living in luxury that have practically no ability. But we must first demonstrate that these people have no ability. We shall find that those who have actually accumulated their own wealth have ability, in fact, exceptional ability, though they may not always have employed it according to the exact principles of justice. On the other hand, when we understand the process of creation, we shall find that ability employed according to principle will produce far greater results than when it is employed unjustly. Therefore, the law underlying the power of ability to create its own environment acts wholly in the favor of him who lives according to the highest ideals of life. This fact becomes more evident when we discern that success is not measured simply by the accumulation of things, but also by the accumulation of those elements in life that pertain to quality and worth in man's interior nature. It is wealth in the mental and the spiritual worlds that has the greatest value or the greatest power in promoting the welfare and the happiness of man. And this higher wealth can be accumulated only by those who are living according to their ideals. However, the accumulation of mental and spiritual wealth will have a direct tendency to increase the power and the capacity of practical ability. And practical ability, when scientifically applied, will tend to increase tangible wealth. That is, to improve the value and the worth of external environments. When we consider this subject from the universal viewpoint, we shall find a perfect correspondence existing between the size of a man's possessions, physical, mental, and spiritual, and the size of his brains, taking the term brains to signify ability, capacity, and worth in the largest sense. But the size of brains can be increased perpetually. We therefore conclude that possessions in the larger sense can be increased perpetually, and he who is perpetually increasing his possessions on all the planes of his life is constantly changing his fate for the better. We shall also find that when a person increases the power of his own life, he will bring about, through his own actions, new events, and these new events will produce new circumstances. To change circumstances is to change fate. And whatever the change may be in fate, circumstances, or events, it will be a change for the better, if the increase of power is applied according to the principles of ideals. Again, when a person develops quality and superiority in himself, he will, through the law of attraction, meet friends and associations that are after his own heart. In other words, he will enter a world where his ideals, both as to persons and as to things, are constantly being made real in every sphere of his present state of existence. He is thus creating for himself a better fate in every sense of the term and opening doors and pathways to a larger and a more beautiful future than he has ever realized before. But the beginning is in himself. In fact, every change for the better must begin within the life of man himself. And whoever will begin to change for the better in the within will positively realize greater and greater changes for the better in the without. What are your thoughts on fate? Please discuss in the comment section below. Thank you so much for being here with me, dear listener. wishing you all a blissful week filled with light and love.